Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Sorry about the long hiatus, but now I'm back with some tips for event photography. So the event in question was a graduation ceremony, but before I get too far into it, in this video I'm actually using the Aperture A-Lab for audio, trying out a new setup. If you prefer the sound with the Rode Video Micro that I've used in every other video on the channel, let me know in the comments below. I really want to get some feedback as to which you prefer. But yeah, so the graduation was actually for my fiancée. She graduated with a Masters in Linguistics. And the ceremony was held at the Royal Festival Hall near Waterloo. I know the venue really well. I love it. I've been there for loads of concerts and shows, but it posed a few problems. I wasn't the official photographer. I just went in my capacity as the fiancé of a graduand. And so that posed its own set of difficulties. The main one being that the stage is at one end of the room, and normally with a graduation ceremony you'll tend to get all the graduands in a block in front of that stage, waiting in line, going up to get their certificates, and then coming off, and you'll have all the families right at the back. So that meant the longest lens I own, because I'm going to be a few hundred feet away. In this case, the sort of best telephoto I have is the 50-100 f1.8 Sigma lens. Because I'm on a crop sensor and it's a Canon crop, so it's about 1.6 times, that would work out to a full frame equivalent of an 80-160, so quite a long reach on that. But here we're going to go through some real world examples of the photos I took, the decisions I made, and why. I hope you enjoy. Okay, so we're going to discuss the camera settings I use to shoot these images. Coming from the video world, aperture priority was my best friend on this shoot. I deal with white balance, I deal with ISO, and I deal with aperture all day long in video. I don't really deal with shutter speed too much. Generally, it doesn't fluctuate from 1/50th to 1/60th is about it, whether I'm shooting 25p or 30p, and then double that for any slow-mo at 50 or 60p. That's about as far as I go with shutter speed normally. So in photography world, I'm more of a novice in photography than I am in video. So letting the camera handle that side of things, and the 200D or SL2 did a brilliant job for me, letting it handle that while I focused on what I could control better, gave me the better images. Now the reason I didn't use video for this, this piece, it's a very, very long distance, 24 megapixels in a still photo versus 1080p, which is only around 2 megapixels in a video frame. So frame grabs would look absolutely terrible and I could not punch in at all. But if I wanted to blow up one of these images, really get it done nicely as a print, 24 megapixels give me a lot of room to crop in and get a nice 8x10 or something like that done, even with just the middle part of the frame. You'll see here, for example, so that's the full wide view on the 24mm, the full view at 100mm, 160 full frame equivalent, and then I can do some creative things here. So for example, one of the nicest touches I did playing around with it in Lightroom, I like this version, so I cropped in a bit, changed it to black and white, and then added just a touch of a vignette to kind of bring your focus more to the middle, because it's quite a busy image still. The whole faculty was behind on the stage. That little vignette just helped to focus your attention a little bit more. So that's probably what I'll get blown up as a little memento of the day. And I couldn't have done that with a screen grab from the video. So aperture priority and shooting stills rather than video is what gave me that option. I did, however, use manual as well. There was a projector showing the live feed from the video and also showing some images, some text, some video clips as the day went on, nice little montages and things. I wanted a couple of images from that. So in manual mode, I was able to set it to 1/50th. I'm in the UK, so lights, TVs, etc., they all work at 50 Hertz. So setting it at 1/50th, I'm not going to get any bars down a projector screen, there's not going to be any flickering, it's going to be nice and steady. And that little bit of experience in the video world helped me on that front. So 50 Hertz, 50th of a second, and then I can, again, punch in, straighten and crop slightly, drop it to black and white and just get rid of any slight color fringing at that distance. And I can get a nice screen grab of, say, the main image from the day that they had on the screen. So we've discussed lens choice and camera choice, and how the Sigma 50-100 f1.8 gave me all the reach I needed, because on the crop sensor it's roughly a 80-160 f2.8 equivalent, so really nice reach through the hall, let me get the shots I needed. We've discussed shooting modes and how aperture priority really gave me control over what I wanted in terms of ISO and aperture, and let the shutter speed get handled by the camera, because quite frankly I'm not used to changing shutter speed too much, and this gave me everything I needed out of camera. The last choice was JPEG or RAW. RAW is beautiful, you get the full dynamic range of the camera on the images, you get just incredible amounts of options in post, in Lightroom and other photo editing software. You can really tweak anything you need to, bring up highlights, shadows, change colours, but I went with JPEG straight out of camera. The main reason is that the JPEGs are just gorgeous out of a Canon anyway. For my money, they are out of camera the best colours you can get outside of going to really, really high-end sort of cinema cameras like Arri and things like that. They just look gorgeous straight out of camera. Even just a standard point and shoot type snap looks fantastic, it pops. But also, because I was going to be doing continuous shooting as she was walking across the stage, I needed as much speed as I could. It shoots 5 frames per second, this camera. It's not high-end, it's not like a Sony A9 that's going to give you 20, or the other high-end sort of Canon and Nikons that will all do double digits, but I knew I didn't want to fill up the buffer. So JPEG is a much smaller file than RAW, you're capturing less information, and that meant I could just confidently point, hold down the shutter, and just follow the action and let that do the work. Shooting that way, firstly, at such a long focal length, that guaranteed that if I was getting a string of photos, I wouldn't get any camera shake from hitting the shutter button, apart from the first and last image. So if I was shooting 7-8 images in a row, the middle 5 would all be free of any sort of blurriness from holding quite a small camera. Beyond that, it was just great to have that string of photos and be able to pick what I wanted. Sorry about the siren, by the way, you might have heard that car alarm there. Here we go, the joys of living opposite a car alarm garage. Now then, that is pretty much it for the event photography tips, but I did take the camera outside afterwards, put a smaller lens on it, a pancake, had a 24mm and a 50mm with me, so I managed to get some really nice images. Now you'll see with the very first one here, there's one thing I forgot. I always manually set white balance, and going into the hall I'd set it to tungsten 3200 Kelvin. It was no external lighting at all light bulbs, and on my first shot I forgot. So it's going to look quite blue because it's set to indoor light and we shot in daylight at 5500 Kelvin. Eventually caught that after the first shot, changed it over, and away we went. Got some lovely photos on the day, including of my mother-in-law and her partner, who was along as a kind of secondary photographer with me. We were all taking photos, and you know, it was just a lovely day. She had a beautiful camera, one of the Sonys actually, and a nice 300mm lens. So it gave her a nice long reach and all, she got some great shots, but it was just so much fun to go along and do this and to really think about my photography beforehand. The forethought is what let me get these images. Without it, I wouldn't have gotten a thing. So my advice really is just to think ahead, think about what you're going to be shooting and plan accordingly. I'm not a great photographer. I'm pretty good with video, but I'm very much a novice in this. So anything I've learned is something that will help someone who's beginning just like me. And I hope it really did give you some advice. So I'll see you next time. We're going with some travel photography tips from a trip I took out to Italy. I'm actually half Italian. Well, my father's half Italian, half Samarinese. And in the Republic of San Marino, I actually took my fiance there on a little holiday, and I'll show you those next time. Hope you look forward to it. I will see you then.